We're going back to a conversation that we had with Sir Nick Faldo at the Open.
Just in terms of who you were as a player, did it also feel like a form of validation?
Well, not really. I never thought of it like that. I thought it was a step forward. I honestly thought when I left St Andrews in '78, I finished fourth there, or 4 shots back to Jack, winning that one. I honestly said to myself, I can win an Open one day. Well, it took an awful lot of getting in there. I was in the mix at Troon. I was really in the mix at Birkdale in '83. I was leading with 9 to go and kind of blew up, and that's all part of your learning curve, isn't it? You got to put yourself in the deep end and experience it and find those feelings and what went and analyze it, and I felt I didn't have the shot flight wasn't good enough, the trajectory or the penetration of the golf ball. We hit the golf ball went this way, and Watson could hit it different, obviously in the weather. So that's why you strive to try and be a better golfer.
How many of because he had so many wins, 30 on what's now called the DP World Tour, formerly the European Tour alone. How many of your wins came pre-medal driver versus post-medal driver, and what was that transition like?
No, I got caught up in the transition, so I didn't adapt. That kind of ended my career. I was Persimmon and Bellata golf ball, metal spikes, cashmere sweaters, proper golfers, and I got caught up. That's a long time ago with the development, and it never worked for me. People say, why didn't you hit it harder and faster and that sort of thing? Well, we couldn't in that era. The old persimmon face, if you hit it at the toe or the heel, you factually lost 25 yards. They know that now. So that's why we had to swing smooth and tempo and nut it right out in the middle, and that's how we played. Bladed clubs, irons. We only had one choice. Well, it was 2 choices of shaft, wasn't there? It was good old dynamic gold, and then precision came along.
Right.
As you know now, it's 201 different shafts out there. So, put all that together. So I got caught out with the metal. After saying that, actually I put a metal driver in the bag for St Andrews. So 1990, I had this driver with a graphite. So what's so good now is the shaft copes with the torque.
Yeah.
You've got a piece of metal hopefully moving at 110 miles an hour, and this shaft's got to handle all of that. And that's, as I was talking about our timing, the shaft used to bend this way, didn't it? And then you go old photographs of the shaft bending that way, and it had toe droop as well. So anyway, so you're right. I had a metal driver in 1990 because I couldn't get this thing airborne. I thought, this is great for St Andrews. I just have to hit this. This thing went dip, and I probably went 230 off the tee and ran another 80 or something. I don't know. So that worked perfect. And actually, I did use a metal driver, but still with steel shaft. I mean, what a club. I've still got it. The old T-Zoid driver that I won Augusta with. It's got no loft. It's got like 60 degrees of loft. Again, with a soft golf ball. It was really just getting the thing airball. We didn't know about spin and all that sort of thing. It was just like, oh, that looks all right, feels okay, and that was it in the bag.
Isn't this brilliant? This is what we were hoping to do with Sir Nick today. You mentioned St Andrews. The number of people, what was it, Jack Nicklaus paraphrasing, said that a great career isn't complete unless you have won at St Andrews. You have won at St Andrews, which is one more validation of the company that this man keeps amongst the greatest players of this game of all time. That's how incredible his career has been. What was that win like for you, though? What was it like to stand with the claret jug at the home of golf?
Yeah, well, that was very special. As I said, 78, a 4 back. I was right in the mix in 83 when Seve won. No, it was not 83, it was 84. I had a bad third day. So when I went back there in 1990 was obviously my best year. I've won the Masters. I hit the hole at the US Open, and I'll let you know a secret. I went in the lose at wherever that was, at Medina, and I cried. Yeah, and then I said, right, I'm going to win the Open. And so I really went there on a mission, which is pretty cool to go there with that, intention, isn't it? As you said, a whole different approach. And the weather was great. It was blustery, but I'd love to see, as time goes by, I'd like to see the whole the whole blooming tournament, the whole championship now, from the first tee, because, I must have been holding everything. That's what it felt like. I saw a couple of highlights last night on that Sky profile they did on me, but that was a great feeling. I mean, I don't remember missing. How good is that? I mean, that's so. And I literally made one. I bogeyed the fourth on the final day, and the only other hole was 17, where we some days intentionally played it as a 5 just to avoid disasters. So, everything else was 3s and 4s around that golf course. So it was a special week. Obviously, Greg was probably world number 1 at the time, and that was the man to beat. And we ended up, tied after 36. Played famously on Saturday, and I stormed ahead and won by 5. So it was an incredible week. And again, I had a brand new lady on the bag, the great Fanny Sunison. She joined me right in 1990. Went to Augusta, won there, and then so, hey, we're only 7 months into our career together, and she's won 2 majors with me.
We hear varying comments from people, some in the know, some not, about the role that a caddy can play in helping get a player across the line to win a championship, any championship, not the least of which is a major championship. How about that dynamic? How important is that role?
You just got to have good chemistry. You can't pick up vibes. Excuse me. You can't have a caddy who's suddenly going 189 plus 17 is and minus altitude is that. It's got to be way better than that. They've got you pick, obviously with somebody for 6 hours or 12-hour days. You pick up the vibes off each other. So they've got to be very confident, and they can't be, well, that's all right. Maybe that club's all right, would you drag the bag away? I listen now. Fanny used to drag the bag away and always go perfect. And Lilith, which I never heard then, but it was said, because I always used to go right. Everything I used to say, okay, right. So it meant I've done everything. We've done all the research, made the decision, and I'd be saying right. She'd be going perfect, and off you went. So, it's all part of the routine, but and she was really professional, teetotal, out there doing yardages and all that sort of thing, and we got on great. I mean, I never thought of it as having a lady caddy. We just got on with it. Obviously, we were making waves behind us, but and we still have the friendship today.
That run from 1987 to 1996, 6 major championships, 3 Masters, 3 Opens. As far as the Open goes, the bookend, of course, Muirfield. I want to ask you about that as well. There is a sense in retrospect that was an emotional win. I'm sure they all were, but that in particular was an emotional win for you.
Well, it really was because, I went there. Now I'm world number 1. I'm the favorite and everything's all going to plan. I'm leading by 4, starting the last day. And I just frittered it away. The odd bad shot, I think, it cost me 1, and I 3-putted 13 block. And it was quite funny. Again, I saw it a little bit last night, and I was going back to the bag and I said, I'm all right, but I don't know what's going on. I'm just making a mess of it. Kept saying I'm all right. So, and then you probably heard, but honestly, I was doing a lot of visualizing in those days, sitting in the morning and the evening, sitting in a chair, doing pink bubble technique, sending out affirmations, all this sort of thing. And then I walked off, 14 green, going to 15 tee, and I just said, that's it, forget everything. The whole week doesn't exist. Nothing. It's just like delete the whole week. I said, I've got 4 holes to play. I said, you better play the best 4 holes of your life. And I basically did. The 5-iron I hit, the 4-iron and the 3-iron are still the best 3-iron shots of my career.
That's absolutely fascinating. So
Yeah.
you just purged your mind.
I literally just said, that's it. Nothing else. You can't even think of it. So it's pretty cool. It was like a check to get back in present time. And right, these are the most important holes. And you remember the little 5-iron I hit, which was really difficult because there was a really weird wind. It was a tiny bit left to right. And there's a big ridge in that middle of that 15th green, and I just fed it off that and down and round to like that. And then the 4-iron at 17, and then of course the 3-iron at the last was the best 3-iron of my life, that one.
I keep getting chills as he's recounting this stuff. This is history right before you being discussed by the author of the same. It's incredible. That year at Muirfield, I'm going to ask you, because it's so funny, I'm going to ask you to recount the famed quote. You know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell us.
Yeah. Well, I was getting an awful lot of stick. You know, it's amazing what the British media is like. You know, I've won 2 majors in 1990, and in 91, by the summer, they had writers behind me who were out on the mission to write Faldo's Finished. I mean, how about that? 6 months later, you've just won. You know, that's our good old British media. So I had all of that through the year. Actually, they came to Ireland, the Irish Open. The guys told me I got writers walking behind me, and I ruined his week because I won the tournament. So that was hard luck on that one. So, and then I had a rotten, lousy Ryder Cup, you know, at Kiwa. That was really difficult. I wasn't playing great, which is the worst feeling in the world, not playing well at a Ryder Cup. And so they were all over me from then on, all the way through the summer. And so I was fed up with it. And so that's why, if you hear that there was a stutter or kind of like a second thought, and I, yeah, what the heck, you know, it's like, I want to thank them from the heart of my bottom. I just threw that one in. And you know, and of course, many of them couldn't handle it, poor delicate petals, yeah. But the guys on tour talk about street cred. When I walked down there, oh, that was great, you know. So but you know, I was getting beaten up in the media. It flashed up on the TV last night. You know, we did on that little documentary, and my gang at the house was shocked. They're going, "What?" You know, the headlines. Was Faldo the most hated sportsman you know, I mean, friggin' hell, they're beauties, aren't they, at times?
You had 3 years of the claret jug in your personal possession. All of us want to know, what did you do with the claret jug? Did you do the obligatory? Was there a beverage from that?
I don't think I did, you know. The first time, a young Australian guy who won it before me played Aussie rules with it. So it was bent, dent, and crooked. So I lost the bloody thing for 3 months while they fixed it. Oh. Honest, yeah. But a little secret came out of that. Well, which is a secret, won't tell you. So, no, it's just so special just to have it sitting there. Can you imagine? I mean, it would just be plonked around the house in different places, and and I love that. I can walk past obviously there's a clubhouse at Augusta, and there's a claret jug occasionally around the house, so it's kind of nice, you know.
Incredible. In quiet moments, Sir Nick, when you have a chance to watch the embers dancing on the logs, maybe a beverage in hand, where does your mind go?
That's a good question. Where does it go? Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're recapping all these stories, and that's when, as I said, you can. And I've still got the clubs there from winning the majors and that sort of thing. You know, the weird thing is, I sit and look at it. I actually sat and looked at it. I thought, who was that guy? Honestly, did, because now time's whizzing by. It's 35 years, obviously, from 1990, winning 2. We're on countdown to 40 years from winning the first in a couple of years. I'm only 68 yesterday, not bad. The creams work, so still natural, yes. yeah, can't knock that. So, yeah, I think that's the weirdest thing to think. You know what I was thinking? I was thinking the fact that I would be, if I was here playing, you know, 30 years ago, you know, you're getting up in the morning and you're on your mission and you've got your mental game plan of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and you're trying to win the claret jug. I mean, that blows me away right now. If I was to go to a golf course now trying to shoot a score, I'd trip over in the car park, you know. But to think that was your intention, your mission, and the way you operated on the day, I think that in a way kind of shocks me right now.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
This man, as you already know, is an absolute legend, and now is your time
Oh my gosh.
to ask Sir Nick questions. That's Steve in the back of the room. He has a microphone for you. So if you would please just put up your hand.
I'm curious, what was your favorite or most useful affirmation or pink bubble?
Oh, yeah. Well, I used to do the pink bubble technique with Chuck T. Keowain, and Was it the rugby? More importantly, how's the line?
Telly came on this side.
So, yeah, no, you just send out what you want for the day. You know, you keep doing that each day, and obviously you should simply try it because it's great to, you know, if you imagine you're sitting in the chair and you're on the 18th green looking at the scorecard and you see 66, well, how do you feel? You're going to feel good, aren't you? And so it's all that sort of thing, and you either visualize the start of the day or the end of the round. I used to do that, bit of both. You know, like, how am I going to feel? How am I going to warm up, prepare, put that? What's my intention of the week? Well, the week is to win a trophy, isn't it? So you send that, and you think, and you can see yourself at the prize giving or whatever. You know, you talk about 87. I had two weird feelings. I knew I would be sitting there at breakfast and it was traditional. The BBC would come and do Monday morning. You'll be live on the BBC Morning News, having breakfast with the claret jug. So I visualized that, exactly. I thought, well, and it's like, and another one was at actually Brookline, on the Sunday, I said, there's no point in packing, we'll be here tomorrow. I mean, that's a weird, isn't it? You know, so you get those sort of feelings, you know, you can tell them 25 years later, or 30 years later, because you can't tell them at the time, because people think you're nuts or a big head, whatever, you know. So
crazy, prescient indeed.
Try it. It's good fun.
If you put up your hand, Steve is right over here so that you can get a question in with Sir Nick before we run out of time, ma'am.
What is the best piece of advice you can recollect that you were ever given, and what piece of advice would you give to somebody just now starting off as a professional golfer?
Well, I'll do the second one. I always tell the kids our fundamentals stack up. You know, they're very boring, aren't they? Grip, stance, posture, alignment. But I can promise you, with my CBS hat on, I go down the range and I go to somebody like Adam Scott and say, hey, look, I've got 4 hours to fill on TV. What are you working on? He says, well, I've just changed my posture a bit. I said, great. Got 3 hours, 59 minutes, you know. Yeah, so you have to keep beating on that. And I think this great thing about a game, whether you're an absolute beginner or the best in the world, we've got a hell of an example with Scotty Scheffler, how he triple checks his grip, doesn't he? So fundamentals stack up. The best advice when I think of it now was probably tempo, you know, rhythm, whatever you want to call it. And I work so much on that, again, as we were talking, because of the equipment. But tempo is the glue that sticks your golf game together. You know, you've got to have good tempo. And when you get nervous, I used to deliberately be able to control my tempo, you know, through breathing and thought and all that sort of thing. You know, I was sitting in the pro shop, and Ian Connolly was said to me, yeah, these biathletes, how do they do it? Obviously they're skiing, their heart rate's at 200, and then they've got to hold a rifle and shoot, so they can't be going. He says somehow they go wallop and can just lower their heart rate and everything and breathing, like boom, like that. They have to. And I thought, you know, I was a good listener, so I go off to the range, and I thought, well, how do I lower how can I take everything down a notch? So I think that's what I could do at the majors, was everybody got all excited, obviously. And if you have the ability to knock it down a couple of notches, which is obviously what Scotty Scheffler's able to do as well right now, take it all in. What is it? You know, everybody's getting hyped up. And I did all the opposite at the Open. Everybody, you know, when we arrived in my day, oh, God, they got the vans there. You get brand new shoes, you get everything brand new. And I suddenly thought, but why am I putting everything brand new on? So I made sure I had old shoes. Even all my gloves were worked in. You know, I never took out a brand new glove. I'd already played a couple of holes, and the ones I love, I turn inside out. You know, and I put them in a bag, so I know when you got to grab one quick, and in a panic, if something happens, got to grab you know it's going to fit. And I've seen guys put a glove on, and the thumb's about this big. You know, that was really important, how well the glove fitted. So same as your clothes, you double-checked everything.
What about the heart rate? How did you bring it down?
Breathing, yeah, good old breathing. You got to learn. You know, it says deep breath. No, it's deep breaths up here. You got to learn to get it out your belly, and you know, now all that sort of thing, and just till you really learn to take it down a couple. You know, try it. It's good.
Absolutely fascinating. We probably have time for one more, one or two more.
Hi, Sir Nick. Just wanted to ask, who did you most enjoy being paired with in your career, and who did you least enjoy being paired with?
The good swinger. I mean, I played a lot with Ernie Els back in that era. You know, a lot of practice rounds with Ernie. I mean, he's got the greatest. I mean, you probably heard me on TV going, Ernie Els. I mean, that is just a great. Obviously, if you can get a visual of him as well, because I'm tall, so I used to see his shoulders turn back and through, and I thought, copy that sort of tempo. I was never fussed about, to be honest, who I played with or didn't play with. Obviously, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say fussed. If I didn't like somebody, who cares? I could be completely engrossed. I got that reputation of being completely engrossed in what I'm doing. But obviously, the great players, playing with them really gets your attention. Playing with Jack the first time, any time. Jack was such. I learned so much from him. I played with him at San Diego way back, but probably early 80s. He shot 63. I shot 71. It felt like 81. And I came back and I thought, how did he do it? And that's when I learned. He just tipped. I said, well, did I then learn? He said, well, I just aimed in the middle of the green. If the pin was on the right, I let it tip to the right, and the pin on the left, I let it tip to left. And you're like, dude, light bulb. I mean, so you learn to tip, not shape the ball. You just go and learn to make it go lean to the right and make it lean to left, and that's what I worked on especially through 1992. I had all my funny follow-throughs. I had the hold off and the chicken wing and the rotate, and you start doing that, and it makes a huge difference. You probably heard me talk on TV about the 15-foot circle. If you're good enough to get close or close to the 15-foot circle, you can't shoot a bad score, can you? I mean, if you can do that, on a good day, I could do that a dozen times. Didn't matter what club, I could hit it inside 15 feet. I mean, that's what you watch any player who's having a great era, like Jordan Spieth. I mean, 10 odd years ago now, he was always within that circle, and that's what we're seeing from Scotty Scheffler as well. So if you can do that, if you're with that rhythm, you can, in a way, that creates how relaxed you can become. If you can trust you can do that, obviously it relaxes you, doesn't it? Which means you can do it more. That's the kind of thing. You can't wind yourself up at this game, obviously.
Yeah, it's fascinating with that because a lot of people don't realize that, for example, on the PGA Tour, the average proximity, these are the best golfers in the world, is 32 feet plus.
Yeah.
And he's talking about a 15-foot circle. It's
exactly. That's a great example. So I knew when there was a really tight pin, if the other guy, if he could only fade it and finish 30, 40 feet, and I knew I could tip it and get into 15, as we know with the stats, that's unbelievably different. 15 feet, I'm not sure, it's maybe like a 30% chance of holding it, isn't it? Something like that, where 30, 40 feet, you're down to 3 and 4 and 5. So what a difference it makes. And plus, you're not going to make a bogey, are you? You're not going to 3-putt from 15 feet. So that to me was the absolute key to being a really good player, having that ability. Any club. I'll tell you a funny story. When we did the Valderrama video, remember my old Valderrama with Leadbutter? Those honest, like 80% of that video was like first take. It was silly. And the famous one, round the trees. I'm standing with a 4-iron, and we go, well, this is how you slice it round a tree. And I slice it round. The ball goes dunk, like 6 feet, 4-iron. And then I go, well, this is how you hook it, round the tree, wallop, 6 feet again. You see, so I then went and did the 3-wood from down the bottom of the hill at 15. We cheated. We went up the hill because it looked good. And I hit the 3-wood to 15 feet, and on the walkie-talkie, he said, well, it's only 15 feet. Do you want to do it again? So I was really on. I was just chung like that.
Really brilliant stuff. So great to get a chance to catch up with Sir Nick Faldo. Thank you for your company as well, folks. Bye for now.